Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to Underlying Perceptions. I know it's been a minute. Had to go ahead and enjoy the holidays, but I'm glad to be back here with y'all at Room Service Radio. And today's topic is about to be on grief, because I experienced the loss a couple days before Thanksgiving, and 2021 just has been a year of trials and tribulations overall. And so today I just kind of want to go over, what is grief, what are the stages of grief, and I'll just go ahead and disclose some of my personal experiences with grief and loss and how that has impacted me mentally, emotionally, and all those aspects in my life. So I just want to go ahead and just start by saying that, go to XCARIGA.com, go click on that knowledge tab. And when you do, please go ahead and read up on some of the articles that, that I was writing up and, give me some feedback. Let me know what you think. Free knowledge on bettering your mental health and just psychoeducation, because that's pretty much what I'm providing on my platform is psychoeducation. So let's go ahead and just talk about some of the stages of grief. So the stages of grief, there's actually five of them. And the five stages of grief, because, grief is a universal thing. Before I go right to this topic, it's universal. So, the idea that we have to move on from it, it's just we will never move on from it. I had read a quote where it said that grief is love without direction. And I was like, man, that's a powerful saying. Like, that's just a powerful quote. And I was just thinking, like, when you lose somebody you love that you was really close to, you lose a piece of that human connectedness. It can put you in a cloud of emotions, honestly. The journey of your life could be a little stagnant based on how, grief impacts you, the loss impacts you. Grief and loss isn't necessarily just death. It could be multiple things like a job loss, or losing custody of your kids or a divorce and things of that nature. Like loss and grief, there's, if it's something that's taken from you and is mentally, emotionally, and physiologically impacting you, then you're dealing with grief and loss, we can't determine that one person's trauma is not as serious as yours, where everybody is dealing with grief and loss differently. People grieve differently. Some people laugh, some people cry, some people are depressed, some people like to avoid the feelings, don't want to believe in it, want to continue to live their life without actually, feeling those feelings, allowing yourself to feel that feeling of loss and be able to express yourself in every way. And when you're not able to express it in a healthy way, what it does is it impacts you mentally, causing you to be in a rut. And sometimes in these situations, it could lead a person to feeling suicidal, homicidal, depressed. You might develop feelings of psychosis and, multiple things, because the brain is triggered in many ways when you're dealing with grief and loss. Like your brain is really impacted, and your brain is connected to your body, so organs get impacted. It can impact your health, it can impact your health just as much as your mental health. So grief and loss, yeah, that's definitely the topic of discussion today, because, a lot of my friends on Instagram have been losing friends to, gun violence. I lost a bro of mine to a car accident, and my community is hurting about it. And I just feel like when the seasons come around, that depression kicks in a little heavier. In my opinion, I feel that it kicks in a little heavier than the summertime, because, it's cold, sunlight isn't as out as it is in the summertime. So, that also impacts us mentally, and it impacts our brain and our functioning too. Can make things a little somber, a little melancholy in our lives during these times. The holidays, there's many stress factors, that go into play, such as, trying to keep up with the holidays as far as gifts, being able to provide for your family, keep up on bills, maintain a balance in your life during the holidays. And sometimes we don't label it as depression, or we don't give it a label, but we know we're feeling something that is weighing us down. It's like the albatross is on your neck, it's just you carrying this burden, and you have to let go of this burden in order to feel liberated. So I feel like with grief and loss, it just has that weight on right now as I'm speaking on it, has a weight on me. It's taking a toll on me in a way where I'm like, life is short. Life is also, I won't say it's short. I would say it's pretty enduring, but it can be taken from you at any moment. You just never know uh, what to expect, the next minute, the next second, the next day. Person that you was talking to 10 minutes ago, you may not ever hear from them again, and it kind of puts it paints a vivid image of what reality really is, the dark side of reality, and it's something that we all experience as humans, is grief and loss. So let's go ahead and talk about the five stages of grief. Stage number 1, we have denial. 2, we have anger. 3, we have bargaining. 4, we have depression, and 5, we have acceptance. I'm gonna give you all examples of what those 5 stages are. But yeah, if you go ahead and look it up, there's 5 stages of grief, and with these stages, it's pretty much stating that it's something that we all encounter while dealing with grief and loss. We go through these stages, and sometimes when we're in these stages, our life becomes stagnant within this stage, and it impacts us in many ways. There's so many ways that it can impact you, and from my experience, I know there's ways that it can impact me too. So let's go ahead and talk about what denial is, stage 1 of grief and loss. So right here is saying that it's an overwhelming emotion, obviously, but it's saying that you're like, denial. Let me put it to y'all like this. When when my grandpa died, I didn't want to believe it. I was in school when I got the phone call, and already during that time period, my grandpa was becoming decrepit because the cancer was eating him up. Looking at my grandpa from what he used to look like back then to the time being when he had pancreatic cancer, it shook me, because I was like, I never seen my grandpa like this. It's weird. And I didn't really know how to like express the feeling, but I was really sad. I was really hurt. So I know that his time was short. My mom and dad decided to like move them out from, the East Coast, which is where my grandma and my grandpa was residing. And we moved them to us. We're going to take care of my grandpa, my grandma. That's what we're going to do. Especially during this time, like you need to be around family. So we're working on this house. The house is getting built in the backyard so we can have a place for them to like, move all their stuff in and stuff. But, we already had like my grandpa's bed. We had a nurse that would come over. And then I just knew time was coming because then he had to end up going to the hospice or the hospital. And I was at school and I got a phone call from my mom. Well, I got a phone call from the school attendant or whoever was at the front desk, the receptionist. I went there, I saw my mom, and she just looked at me. She didn't say nothing. And I could tell she wasn't trying to tell me at school, but I automatically started crying. I automatically started breaking down. The denial stage was me not believing that he was gone. That's the stage. That's stage 1. That's denial. I didn't want to believe that he was gone, because I still felt like the time that I had with him wasn't enough. He left my life at an early age. And I was like, this is crazy how mortality just hits so close to home, where it's like, damn, like you just sit in reflection and wonder, like, why the hell did this happen? And I'm not believing it. I didn't believe that he was gone for a minute. It just felt like a void was in my life for sure. So letting y'all know that's an example of a denial stage, is when you don't want to believe that the person is gone. That's one of many examples that I can give y'all on denial. Let's go ahead and move on to stage 2, which is anger for sure. Hell yeah, I was angry. I noticed that my impulsivity increased a little after too, especially going into high school, because my grandpa passed away my 8th grade year. Or was it my 8th grade year, so middle school, and going into high school. Um, I'm not the type to blame it on the crowd I was kicking it with, because like at the end of the day, like we're all human and we all learn from each other. So, I always had to hear that from principals and stuff like, yeah, it's the crowd you hang with. You guys are da 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 da. But really, it'd be a lot of shit going on that we just don't know how to express ourselves, especially at that age. Schools don't even teach mental health. They don't teach you these courses. They don't teach you how to cope healthy. They don't teach you how adverse coping can really impact you mentally, emotionally, and etc. And now looking back at it in the past, now I can just realize like my anger stemmed a lot from grief and loss. Not feeling like death is just constant. Like my grandpa passed away, but before my grandpa passed away, my uncle Bebo, he passed away, and that took a toll on the family. And it's just so much overwhelmed emotions going on that it's just hard for a kid, especially a kid, to like take on. And the anger ends up, leading me into like punching on walls or being defiant in class, and just kind of just like not following the rules, just feeling misguided, no direction, just trying to figure life out a little bit. And I can tell you, anger definitely played a role in that. Dealing with a lot of grief and loss, it's just pent up, it's bottled up. It's not often that I'm expressing myself at the time to anybody. So the littlest thing, or it could be the next biggest thing, to just blow the fuse, and next you know it, now I'm this kid doing too much in school, and it's jeopardizing my education, etc. So definitely anger is a stage that you'll go through. Anger isn't always like punching on walls and stuff. Anger can be displayed in many ways. It can be displayed subtle, but the feeling is so overt. Let's go into stage 3, bargaining. Okay, so um let's see the definition that they give you here. They saying bargaining is they say it's the what if and the if only statements. That's the definition that they're giving here on Healthline. So I can give y'all an example of myself again. Like my boy Dre just passed away before Thanksgiving. So it's a fresh wound on the family. It's a fresh wound on all of us that he has been involved in the lives that he has been involved in. He's definitely been a great asset in my life. Very supportive, always been supportive, always been a cool, chill, laid back brother. There's nothing negative you can really say about this man. You feel me? His energy was always right. Like his energy was always about vibes, like positive vibes. He's always been about that. And the bargaining stage was just like, damn, like you start thinking like, what could I have done more? Like I should have hit him up yesterday, or I should have talked to him yesterday, or I should have called him. That's the bargaining stage. Like it's a lot of the what ifs. Like what if what if I had called him and said, or if I had sent him this beat, or if I had did this or did that to avoid a situation. And really that's just the guilt, the what if statements. Like you'll be playing that every day. You'll always have the what ifs coming to mind when you're dealing with grief and loss. Like especially when you lose somebody really close to you, you always have that what if. Like what if I just called them? What if I came over when they asked me to? What if I did this A, B, and C? And it's like you can play that game all day. And so are the others that are also impacted by the loss and the grief that they're dealing with. And it's just like we have to find ways to know that we have to find ways to manage that, like we can't solely put the blame on us. It's just that life happens and we just have to accept it for what it is. But moving on from it, I don't believe in moving on from it. I believe that we can move along with it. You know what I'm saying? So that's an example of bargaining. Stage 4, depression, definitely is a key element to grief and loss. Like I've dealt with depression to the point where I did feel suicidal. I had suicidal thoughts. Now, remind you, feeling suicidal, like I didn't have the intent to do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I had the ideations. Like I just had thoughts. You feel me? And the thoughts would come up because I'm depressed as hell. Like, I've lost somebody that's close to me. I'm sitting here, I can cry all day. You know, I can let tears run down my face, but the void is still there, you know? And I just have to sit there and reflect and accept that this is life, you know? And when you're a kid, oh my God, it's depressing. You know, I mean, let's just go ahead and throw out many scenarios like, you know, you lose your favorite grandparent, you know, you lose somebody that you truly love. That was the connectedness of the family. You know, you losing the person that was a blessing in your life every time you was in their presence, and they're gone, you know, and you have to sit with that. Like, yeah, my grandpa's been gone for years, but it's like I'm still not over that, you know. It's like it's just something that I'm not going to be over, you know. Talking about it just makes me sad. Like, that's my pops, you know. That's my papa right there. That's, you know, and it's just like it gets these thoughts running in my head like, oh, eventually my mom and dad isn't going to be in my life. How am I going to deal with that? You know, and I'm sitting with these thoughts and it just makes me depressed. I ain't gonna lie. Like, it can make you depressed, you know? So stage 4 for sure. Is definitely like is definitely an impact that can really damage us, you know what I'm saying? Like, depression is real, y'all. It's not a fashion, okay? It's not an aesthetic, all right? It's none of that shit. Like, it's pain. You know, it's a pain that a lot of the older generation don't understand, that us, the younger generation, we're more in tune with our emotions now. Like you can hear it in the music, you know, you can see it in the movies, you can see it in the art, you can see it in the ways we talk about social problems and social topics. We're more in tune with our emotions. Mental health has been more prominent now than it was ever back then because of the limited access it was back then, you know, and I spoke about that on my very first episode of Underlying Perceptions. You know, it's like not everybody could afford it. It was really for the white man at that time. And now that it's becoming multicultural, where we're having everybody from every culture partaking in mental health and helping out their culture and helping out others in need, man, I can tell you that depression is really an all-time high. Like, it's at an all-time high. Like, we are like the most depressed. Like, we're in that state, that mind state, being the most depressed group of people during this time period, you know? And that's what this platform is really for. It's like, I feel like it's just healthier to just be able to psychoeducate. And it's also, you know, look at it as free therapy. I'm nobody's therapist, but this is therapy for me, and I hope anybody tuning in and listening to this is gaining something from it, or, you know, because we all going through this through these tough times together in different ways, you know. Yeah, you know, not everybody believes in religion or in religious, you know, or spirituality. Not everybody has to believe the same thing. You know, but I do believe that as humans, we can see we're all hurting, you know, and it's time for us to really step up and fix that, change that. Like, you know, they say one man can change the world, one woman can change the world. Like, that's facts. Like, we all just have to move in unison with this, you know, make it a movement to better ourselves mentally, man. I'll tell you, the world can be better, you know. RIP to all the lost souls at the Astro World event. Even the shooting recently, I believe it was in Michigan. Please, you know, pay your respects to the families in this tough time. These memes and all these little jokes and these little TikToks trying to make light of the situation. It's a time and place for everything, man. Like, these times is getting hard on everybody. You feel me? Like I said, people grieve differently, so it may be in jokes. I understand that too, but like, this is just a time. It's a sensitive time period. Like, you know, you have to really think about, like, and this is still on the stage 4 of depression, y'all. I'm still talking about the depression. Like, you know, think about the 9-year-old boy and many others that had lost their lives at the astral world, and you're not gonna see them again. The school shooting, you think your kids are going to school to get an education, to learn. And you think this is a safe place for them to be at while you're at work or while you're taking care of adult duties. You would expect your kids to be safe, and then just to know that they're getting killed. And America has an issue with these mass shootings in schools, mass shootings in general, but in these schools, like, I'm just gonna say it's fucked up. Like, I can't imagine. Like, my son gonna be going to school. Many other kids, my nieces and nephews, and the younger generation, our younger generation, is gonna be going to school. And once again, these things can put you in a mindset. Like, it can make you post-traumatic. It can make you depressed. It can raise your anxiety. It can have you overgeneralize a lot in life. It can make you over-catastrophize things. It can make you look at life black or white. Like, it can really cause a cognitive distortion. When you see all these killings, when you're dealing with all this grief and loss, when you're just living in life in general, dealing with trauma, it's just that you're going to experience these stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining. You're going to deal with depression. You may be able to deal with it in a better way than others, and some may let it cripple them, and it becomes chronic depression. So, like I said, everybody's affected by grief and loss differently, and we are in sensitive times. And I think it's time for us to kind of change the narrative, change the roles. And if you know you can make a difference in somebody's life, do so. If you know somebody is going through something tough, check on them, because planet Earth, we're all we got. Family, we're all we got. You know what I'm saying? The lack of love in this world is showing. And it's showing in ways where it's taking out our youngins. It's showing in ways where it's putting it's breaking up families. We could talk about grief and loss in the aspect of how it's impacting families. Now families are segregating. Families aren't holding reunions together. Families are no longer laughing as much as they did in the past. Families are no longer what it used to be. Now people are being affected differently. Everybody's going through a mental battle and trying to keep it together for the family, but it's difficult. And everybody is going through something, but not everybody's going to voice it, And I feel like grief and loss is something that we do have to learn to embrace. It's a healing process is nothing that's going to happen overnight. The process of healing is something you have to embrace. And that means you're going to have to go through the worst, and you're going to see some great times, but you're going to have to go through the worst regardless. The last stage of grief, acceptance, which is kind of what I was, tackling on. I can say that, my grandpa gone, my uncle gone, my grandpa-in-law, he gone, and I've talked to him multiple times. It's like, that's my grandpa too, you know what I'm saying? And when I seen him pass away, I was like, I'm there for my wife, I'm there for the family. And it's just like, but it's true. It's like I feel the void too, like losing people is just, it's tough. It's just something you just can't get over. But you have to learn to accept it. And eventually we reach that stage. It's stage 5. Eventually we'll reach that stage. It can happen in 2 years, 3 years, a decade. It may never happen. But as long as you embrace the process of healing, you will reach stage 5. You will reach it. And accepting grief and loss is in an aspect, like, let's say, speaking on death, right? Is that instead of not accepting it, being still in the denial stage, the anger, the depression, the bargaining phase, I'm accepting it. I'm moving along with it. I'm embracing the fact that, yeah, they're not here, but I'm living for them. Paying visits to the tombstone is a spiritual connectedness. Talking to them is a spiritual connectedness. Keeping their name alive, that's a spiritual connectedness, those sharing memories, like constantly posting videos and just sharing memories of that person is the spiritual connectedness, and that's how they live through, that's how they continue to live. That's where the immortality kicks in, is the impact they left before they left. You will always live on. That's why we say long live forever, and etc. We have all these sayings to say that you are still here. That's your immortality. It's the impact you leave on people before you go. So to everybody out there that is dealing with grief and loss, XCARIGA is here at Underlying Perceptions, letting you know that I'm here with you, and I do wish the best for y'all. And I'm a God-fearing man, so I believe in God. I believe in God, and I do believe that the universe speaks to me in ways where it's like everything just connects, everything happens for a reason. I believe the universe communicates with you, and that's God, that's ubiquitous. You know what I'm saying? So those are the 5 stages of grief. I would say I think the first time I can remember of me experiencing grief was the very first funeral I went to, which was my great grandma, my mom's grandma, whom tends to be my mom's favorite person, was my mom's favorite person. She admired her grandma. She loved her grandma, and just hearing my mom share stories, and even being there when I was young and seeing her blow her birthday cake and stuff like that, like, those were beautiful times, and I see the happiness on my mom's face when she's around her. So I was like, man. But remind you, I'm young, I'm little, I'm like elementary. I forget how young, but I was really young. And I just remember my mom had me and my sister sit in the back of the funeral, the back of the church. And then my mom was crying. Like, I wasn't crying at the fact that I'm at a funeral, because I'm confused. I don't even know where I'm at. Really, I don't understand the concept right now, but I feel my mom's energy, and I see my dad grabbing my mom and holding her tight, and he's helping her up, because my mom is, she's feeling this grief. She's dealing with this grief right now, and she's walking up to the casket, and then I just hear her voice is crying. My aunties are crying, family members it's like now I'm in this church room, and all I hear is sorrow, and I just feel the energy. So me and my sister, we looked at each other as young as we are, and we just hugged each other at the back of the church, because it's just us. My dad is with my mom right now, consoling her, but we're here. We're around family, but me and my sister just turned to each other, and we just hugged each other tight. We really, like, it was the energy that we felt, that we knew something was gone. And we just didn't know. And it was like, when they opened the casket, I see why my mom had to sit in the back. She didn't want us to see, but my vision was healthier enough to know that I've seen that lady before, and I don't know why she is laying in that box. That was my first time dealing with grief and loss, because my mom was dealing with grief and loss, and then it led me to understand the concept of death. So, yes, it's a human experience to deal with grief and loss, no matter what age. So that's just something I wanted to disclose. That was the topic of the day, was, grief and loss. And I felt like it was just good to just talk about the 5 stages, and, just disclosing my life and my experiences with grief and loss, because we all have a story. We all have a testimony, we all dealing with this. So that is exactly why I wanted to talk about it today. And please go on my website at www.xcariga.com. Click on the knowledge tab. And I call it knowledge is because that is what I'm giving. It's a lot of psychoeducation on heavy topics. And I keep it updated weekly. I'm always dropping weekly. So every week you're going to see a new write-up. I'll post about it. I did write about grief and loss, so you can go ahead and, pick my brain a little bit and see my perspective on grief and loss, and many other topics that I had touched base on. But once again, my heart is with everybody out there dealing with grief and loss during this tough time. And y'all gonna get through it. I'm gonna say that loud and clear. Y'all gonna reach stage 5 and y'all gonna get through it. But do not rush the healing process. Embrace those feelings and express yourself in ways where you don't have to let it lead to adverse coping. So that is what I wanted to tell you guys today. So I just want to let y'all know y'all can find me on every social media at XCARIGA. That's XCARIGA. Website is XCARIGA.com. And once again, y'all, you know the motto, be real. You don't have to be perfect, okay? Because I don't believe a perfect world exists. I feel like this is just where it's at. This is perfect for us. But as long as you be real with yourself, your life will be much easier. Life will be more understanding. Your perspective will widen a lot more, much more. So thank you guys for tuning in. I'm in this segment with a song called Ubiquitous. I wrote this song because my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they were dealing with the loss of a close friend. That's family. Actually, family, not a close friend. Family. And I was like, I'm gonna write a song about our lost loved ones. It's necessary. I want to write a song to all our lost loved ones. I want to have that song to where it's for them. This song will always be for our lost loved ones. And I named it Ubiquitous, which means everywhere existence. An example is God is ubiquitous. You don't see him, but he's everywhere, And even though the people that I cherish isn't here with me today, and they're in the afterlife, in whatever life that may be for them after this, they're still here with us. I believe that truly, and that is ubiquitous. So thank you guys for tuning in. Much love and blessings to all of y'all. Keep y'all head up during these tough times. We're going to make it through. And take care, and I'll see y'all next week. There's a light at the end of every tunnel. The void feels permanent, losing a loved one. If I could hear your voice again, that will mean much. Death is inevitable, but yet I need you. The pain that I'm holding inside is breaking me up. The only thing immortal here is the memory and your spirit, cause when I vent, I know you hearing me. The conversations that we had, I hold dear to me. Damn, can't nobody really match your energy. I can no longer look you in the eye. Speaking about this shit alone made me cry. Feeling left without you here by my side. Now I'm sitting here asking God why. Now the only thing left for me to do is to continue living strong without you, and share the memories of us as my truth. And if you hear me, I'll forever love you. I'll forever love